Oh, do you have photos? How'd they all go?
Good.
That's good. Okay. So today, what we're learning about is problem solving with simultaneous equations. Okay, this is chapter 1D. It's our final part of chapter 1. Putting everything together. There's 5 steps to this process, so we'll just go through this today. I'm going to do a process called my turn, your turn. My turn means I'm just going to do a problem with this, show you the process, and then I'm going to give you a shot to have a go at it yourself. Okay. All right, let's have a look at a scenario here of how this works. We've got a driving instructor who charges $30 for a 1-hour lesson and $50 for a 2-hour lesson. And I was hearing people say that what a bargain. That's really cheap, isn't it? What's the realistic rates for $100? $130 for a 1-hour lesson? 90 minutes? Jeepers. I've got to start saving for when my kids are older. Okay. In 1 week, he works 25 hours and he earns $690. How many 1-hour lessons did she teach? I changed her gender there. There we go, she. Okay. So, with problem solving, this is an example of where we can use simultaneous equations to solve it. Now, you might go, well, we don't need to use simultaneous equations. We could just use a process like guess and check. You could use guess and check with a problem like this. Yep, that's fair enough. You could guess, go, all right, maybe they did 10 1-hour lessons. Work it out. You know, but it's going to be a bit time consuming there. So we're going to see how we can use simultaneous equations to do this. Okay, so our first step, if we're using simultaneous equations, is we need to decide on 2 unknowns, x and y. All right, we're just going to label them x and y. In this one here, what are our 2 variables? What are the 2 different variables? Yeah, 1-hour lessons and 2-hour lessons. So let's let x equal number of 1-hour lessons. Just seeing how that looks on the screen there. We'll move it a bit closer. And let's let y equal the number of 2-hour lessons. Often getting started on these is the trickiest. A bit like if you're driving a manual car, the trickiest part is getting started. Okay, once we've got our 2 unknowns, what is step 2? What does your green box say step 2 there?
Write down 2 equations connecting x and y.
Write 2 equations. So now we need to use the information to come up with 2 equations. So what are the key information? We know that it's $30 for a 1-hour lesson, and we know that it's $50 for a 2-hour lesson. And we know that in 1 week, they work 25 hours and they earn $690. We need to try and connect all this information. So let's first of all look at this income thing. We know that the income is $690. And they earn that income by, they earn $30 for every 1-hour lesson. You know, if they did one 1-hour lesson, they'd earn $30. 2 of them, they'd earn 60, etc. So it's times here, isn't it? 30x plus, now they earn $50 for a 2-hour lesson. So 50y equals what? $690, the cost. So one of the equations is connecting the cost. What's the other equation going to connect? The hours, because we're told that they work 25 hours. What might be the equation that connects the hours? Is it going to equal 25? It equals 25. Let's think. They work 25 hours in a week, a combination of 1-hour and 2-hour lessons. So would 1 times x plus 2 times y equal 25. That's the total number of hours that they work, isn't it? Do we need to write the 1 times x? We can even get rid of the 1, can't we? You know, x plus 2y. The more you do of these questions, the more you start to see the patterns and work out how it is. It can be, that's the trickiest part, is starting. Okay. So we've come up with 2 equations. What's step 3? Lara, what's step 3?
Solve the equation simultaneously.
Solve equations simultaneously. Now, we can use any method here, okay? If I were you, I'd do the most efficient method. You could graph it by drawing it up, sketching it, but I think that's slow. The most efficient way to solve these simultaneous equations, if they're both in general form, is your calculator. All right, let's pull out our calculator. Which part of our calculator are we going to be reaching for? Equation solver, I hear from the back of the room. So on our calculator, equation solver is the place to go. We would go in here and we would go to equation solver, which is equation there. Clearly my batteries are low, I need to replace them. And we would go to simultaneous with 2 unknowns. So, show that again, sorry, I don't have the board. Go to equation solver, which is my option A. Simultaneous, 2 unknowns. You just type it in. Has anyone got an answer already?
X is 13, y 6.
That's what I've typed in. And then we hit solve. X equals 13. From graphics calculator, x equals 13, y equals 6. I think we've done step 3.
Check your
What's step 4?
Check your solutions with the original data.
Check your solutions. How can we check that our solution is correct?
So you substitute 13 into every x and 6 into every y.
Yeah, check that it works. So you could just do a quick calculation. All right, so let's check that that works. 30 times 1. You know, so you can just substitute it back in. It's a good way of checking. I think more than likely you are correct. The main reason why you might have got it wrong, if you put the wrong number in or if your equation was set up incorrectly. And if your equation's set up incorrectly, well, you can just check it based on the information again. That's probably the best way. Check that it works. All right, it seems to work for me. Step 5 is write your answer in sentence form. You know, part of your marks in general maths is on your communication. So actually answering the question. What was the key question that was actually being asked here? How many 1-hour lessons? So you then need to actually, if you just did this in a test and just did that, I couldn't give you full marks. Okay? Yeah, 3 out of 4. You'd need to there say, therefore, she taught 13 1-hour lessons. Why is it 13? Because x is the number of 1-hour lessons and x is equal to 13. Okay? The question was only asking about 1-hour lessons, so I'm not even going to write how many 2-hour lessons because the question was just asking that. I'm going to save my time and just answer the question. All right? Are there any questions with that process there?
Can you please go through the calculator bit again?
Yeah, I can go through the calculator bit again. So on your calculator, you'd go to menu.
Yeah.
And then you would go to the equation part.
Yeah.
And then you'd go to simultaneous.
Mm-hmm.
And how many unknowns are there?
2.
2. And then in that matrix, you type this information. So 30, 50, 690.
Yes.
Now there's no number in front of the x, so there's an imaginary 1.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So we put the 1 there, and that's sort of how it looks. So it looked like that.
Yeah.
And then you hit solve.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, let's have a go at your turn. And so for your turn, what I'd like you to do is, I'd like you to do question number 1. Exercise 1D, question 1.
Whoa, is that it?
Just to start,
Oh.
firstly, just to start. And the whole lesson isn't going to be silence, but I want for this question just to be silent, independent work. All right? I'm going to pause it on the screen here. So if you're watching along here, I'm going to pause it. I want you to give that question a go. 1D, question 1. All right, class. Spoiler alert. I got $7 for the plates and $9 for the bowls.
Yep.
Do we agree?
Yeah.
Now, I want you to have a quick look at, can you see what mistake I made when I was doing my working out? I did the number of plates instead of,
Yeah.
but did it work out?
Yeah.
Oh, good morning, Bella. Did it work out? It still worked out. So, and I guess I realized once I got to the end, and when I read the question that said find the cost of each item, I suddenly went, oh, hang on. No, that's all about costs. So it shows that just give something a go, give it a go and see if it works. You know, especially when you're trying to set it up, give it a go. Try and come up with something and see if it works out, and then test it out. I want you to have a look. What did I actually do to start this question off? Do you notice what I did on the board? I wrote the key things out. And it was when I wrote the key things out that suddenly I went, oh, hang on, this kind of looks like some equations here. So writing the key information out can be a helpful thing to do in this tricky first step, because, you know, the first 2 bits is the trickiest part of this process. All right? Are there any questions on that one there? Well, today, as I said, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7 of exercise 1D is where we're sort of tracking. Problem solving. Get into it. Let's do it. And I will hit stop. And I'm going to upload this video right now